No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for April the 5th, 2023 in Long Island, New York. Let's go ahead and get right into this recap. But first, shout out to the early birds, Matthew, City by the Bay, Dave Scheffler, Joey Perez, Gomer, Kyle. Thank you all for tuning in early. Much appreciated. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in for the live streams over the past 11 days. This is the 11th straight live stream and the final one of this streak. I will be taking a break on Thursday. Thank you all so much again. And with that being said, let's get started. We kicked off the show with what was supposed to be Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson. But as Ricky Starks was coming to the ring, he was attacked. Not by Juice Robinson, but Jay White. Now, Jay White recently became a free agent, and people were thinking that he was going to WWE, but turns out it did not work out. Jay White is now All Elite. Tony Khan confirmed it. We had a 2-on-1 attack. They beat down Ricky Starks, and the match was thrown out. Basically, a no contest. We had Chris Jericho interviewed backstage about Adam Cole's return. Jericho said he was happy for Cole to be back. However, Cole took it too far with the victory over Daniel Garcia and was disrespectful with the celebration, having Britt Baker come out there. Keith Lee showed up and took exception to what Jericho was saying. Keith Lee said that him and Adam Cole had history, of course, in NXT, but did not mention NXT. Essentially, Keith Lee wanted a match with Chris Jericho for next week's Dynamite. And Keith Lee said that Chris Jericho is the poster boy for disrespect. That will be taking place on next week's show. We had the House of Black defending the AEW Trios titles against Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. Trent's mom was in her minivan and she drove Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends out there to the ringside area, or at least drove them up by the entranceway. I don't think she actually went out into the crowd. I think they were still in the backstage area. Orange Cassidy up to his usual tricks, throwing his sunglasses at Buddy Matthews. House of Black took some control for a while, but then everybody ended up in the ring. They brawled on the outside. Trent ended up being double power bombed on the apron, but after the commercial break, the Best Friends started to make a comeback. They launched Orange Cassidy to the outside onto House of Black, and then they did the three-way hug. Things broke down again. Everybody was taking turns hitting big moves. Trent managed to hit a pile driver to Brody King. Malachi Black broke up the pin. And Chuck Taylor tagged in, almost pinned Matthews, but then Matthews regained the upper hand and hit the stop to score the 1-2-3 victory. Still your trios champions, House of Black. Dave Scheffler sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I will read that off at the end, so I'm not skipping ahead. We had Christian Cage backstage, and Luchasaurus emerged from this red room, and it looks like Luchasaurus and Christian once again reunited, and they're going to raise hell on the roster of AEW. I'm glad that Luchasaurus is back. It's been a while. I know that AEW was dealing with some legal issues over the mask, and of course, this was Christian's first appearance since he lost to Jungle Boy at Revolution. We then had the women's match not at 9:15 to 9:30 for once. Jamie Hayter versus Riho here in the first hour. Very good match between these two, as you would expect. Riho, of course, won the AEW Women's Championship on the first Dynamite, and she gave Jamie Hayter a great challenge. Back and forth here. They were exchanging near falls early on. Jamie Hayter countered a top rope crossbody, wore her down for a bit. Both ended up on the apron, and Jamie gave Riho a Uranagi on the apron. After the break, Riho started to make a comeback. 619, went up to the top, hit the crossbody. A couple of suplexes to Jamie, but Jamie kicked out. Jamie then took her down with the lariat. Riho kicked out of that. Riho avoided a brain buster with a DDT and then hit a running knee strike. But again, Jamie Hayter able to avoid defeat. She got her foot on the rope, and eventually Jamie Hayter won the match with the Ripcord Haterade, as they call it. Very good match here, like I said. One of the better AEW women's title matches in maybe the history of the company. Really, really good stuff here from them. And then we had a backstage promo from the Outcasts. Ruby Soho warned Jamie Hayter to not get too attached. But the question is, which one of them will go for the title? That remains to be seen. We had a little segment with the Acclaimed and the Jericho Appreciation Society. The Acclaimed came out there. Max Caster did his rap and said Jericho is full of shit, and that JAS stands for just Acclaimed Scissoring. But 2.0 and Jake Hager said that there would be a match on Rampage. I guess they're still going to try and get the Acclaimed to join their group. But it sounded like Acclaimed were not having any of it. We then had a very interesting segment on this show. We had MJF Day. And there was a band. You had a conductor. You had people playing saxophone, like a big band, basically. And MJF actually started singing like Frank Sinatra. The song was called Pennies from Heaven, and he can sing. The dude is multi-talented. When it was over, his hometown fans gave him a standing ovation. If Vince McMahon saw this segment, he would be trying to sign MJF in a heartbeat. This was really fun. MJF was very entertaining here, and you had the official, the commissioner, whatever, of Oyster Bay, New York, give MJF the key to Long Island, and this guy was getting booed quite heavily. MJF, of course, cheered. MJF said he deserves the key to the city. He mentioned the other pillars and started talking about them. They all got booed. And then MJF talked about how he grew up with ADD and talked about an incident with his teacher, how he was having trouble concentrating. The teacher asked, what is he thinking? What's going on in his brain? He said that he was dreaming of becoming a professional wrestler. And she said the odds of him succeeding were slim to none. But of course, he made it. And he said the lesson is that you should not be a stupid bitch. He then cut a little motivational message for the young kids out there. Motivated them to work hard, and they could be anything they want, just not him. Then as MJF was going back to the stage, he was teasing an encore, and Jungle Boy attacked MJF on the stage. You had officials coming out there, separating them, and while this was going on, the title was in the middle of the stage. Sammy Guevara showed up, held up the AEW title, and he was getting booed heavily for this. And then Sammy Guevara had a match against Commander, another luchador who was on Dynamite back when they were at the Cow Palace. Really good match here with these two. Sammy Guevara hit a springboard moonsault right off the bat, and he went so high that the cameraman could not even capture it. They got to work on that with their camera shots. Crowd chanted, "You still suck," at Sammy, and Commander was doing a lot of flashy stuff, like a lot of running the top rope and doing crazy moves, like a springboard shooting star press. And then he went for a springboard Superman punch, but Guevara caught him with a kick. And after the commercial break, more crazy moves. Commander with a reverse Hurricane Rana. Guevara kicked out of that. And then Commander hit a springboard dive, went for a shooting star press, but Sammy got his knees up. And then both of them were on opposite corners of the ring. Commander was going for another running the rope move, but Sammy caught him right there in the middle with a cutter, and then Sammy hit the go to hell, got the 1-2-3 victory. It was a fun match. Now, of course, it's a lucha style match, which means a lot of gymnastic maneuvers, and if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But one thing I always liked about AEW is that they have a variety of stuff. So one match they might be doing this, another match they might be doing hardcore wrestling, another match they might be doing mat wrestling. Like, it's a variety show. There's something for everybody. So that to me is a positive. I know some people don't like certain styles, but there is at least something for everybody on this show. And if you like the sports entertainment stuff, if you like the talking, if you like the non-wrestling stuff, well, MJF sang on this show. So there you go. Like, you really did have something for everybody. Now, after the match was over, not MJF, Sammy cut a promo talking about MJF and wondering, was he watching a wrestling show or watching American Idol with MJF singing? Says he actually wrestles unlike MJF, and the last time they wrestled, Shawn Spears had to hit Sammy with a chair. Sammy talked about how MJF's side of the pillar was built by people that MJF manipulated. Then Guevara talked about how he put his heart and soul into AEW, and whether people boo him or cheer him, AEW is not going away. Pretty solid promo here from MJF, and they continue to build up this match. Darby Allin was up in the rafters watching, and Jungle Boy and MJF were also shown. So they're really building this up. It looks like we're going to get this match for Double or Nothing, and they're just doing the slow build here. We then had Hook versus Ethan Page for the FTW title. Pretty basic match here. Hook got sent into the ring post, and Ethan Page was doing pretty well for himself, but then he went for Matt Hardy's move, the Twist of Fate. Hook countered it with one of his own, and at this point, Isaiah Cassidy got on the apron, and Matt Hardy took the FTW title, but instead of hitting Hook, Matt Hardy hit Ethan Page with the title, and Hook applied the Red Rum submission and got the easy win. Pretty basic stuff here, like I said. Now, let's get to Tony Khan's big announcement. Nigel McGuinness was there with him. Nigel McGuinness was at the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor show last Friday night, and he is officially All Elite. He was there with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan revealed the big announcement. He mentioned that 5 years ago, AEW was not around, but these guys set up the show. We all know Cody and the Young Bucks. They did a show called All In, and he said that they will be bringing back All In this year on Sunday, August 27th, I think, either 27th or 28th. not sure off the top of my head here, but that last Sunday in August, they will be doing All In again, and it will be in London, England. So it will be AEW's first international show outside of North America, the United States, and Canada. First time in the UK, but that's not all. Here's where it gets really interesting. Adam Cole was there. I guess they always have to have Adam Cole finish these announcements just to make sure the crowd pops for it, and instead of Tony Khan saying it. Adam Cole said that it will be August 27th. It will take place in London. It will take place at Wembley Stadium, the Wembley Stadium where Queen performed, where SummerSlam 92 took place. You know, that stadium that holds 90,000 people. That's where they're going to run this all-in event. Very ambitious from AEW. Now, are they going to do what WWE does for some of their smaller stadium shows like Royal Rumble and SummerSlam? Are they going to maybe use half the arena or half the stadium? We'll have to see what they can do for this show, how big they can draw. It is all in. They're taking a big risk here, and we'll see if they can fill up the stadium. I'll give them credit. You know, they are going big here, and as the saying goes, you either go big or you go home. It's a bold move here, and we'll see if it pays off for them. First shows for AEW in new territory tend to do well, but how well will this show do? I think it's a pretty big announcement. I will give Tony Khan credit. This time, the announcement lived up to the hype because I think this is a big risk for them. If they draw poorly, then it's going to reflect negatively on the company, and it'll be bad for AEW's reputation and their perception and how people see AEW if they do not draw well. But if they bring in a huge crowd, then it can only help AEW grow in the future, and people might start taking more notice. Wow, AEW packed the stadium. I remember Virtue over on the No DQ review mentioned that he would be impressed if AEW could pack a stadium. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. I think they'll draw a pretty big crowd. Like I figured if they ran the main arena there, easy sellout, like no question. So I guess the idea is that, well, we can easily sell out an arena. Let's try to do something bigger. But I thought like maybe they try something like a 30,000 seat building, like a soccer stadium. Wembley is massive. City by the Bay thinks that maybe they can draw 40 to 50,000. I think that's more realistic. And if they do the Royal Rumble SummerSlam configuration, like it'll look full on TV. So that'll still be really good for AEW. Like if they can draw 40,000 people, I say that's a win. Now, if they draw 20,000, then people are going to look at it as something that was a flop and did not work out for them. Time will tell on this, but I'm very intrigued to see the ticket sales for this one. My guess is it will be somewhere in that 40. I think they have a legit shot. I think 40,000 is a realistic number they can hit. If they do more than that, it's a really good sign. We'll see what happens. So moving on here, we had the Blackpool Combat Club winning a quick squash match. Wheeler Yuta picked up the win with the crossface submission. Afterwards, Bryan Danielson got on the mic. He was not in the match. It was Moxley, Jon Moxley, Cesaro, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta. Bryan got on the mic and talked about how he loves his family. He loves the Blackpool Combat Club hurting people. He loves professional wrestling. Damn it. He didn't say damn it, but Noah Foster does, so I'll say it too. He said that they are the only true professional wrestlers in the building, and that's when Hangman Adam Page showed up got in the ring, went right after the Blackpool Combat Club, but of course, he was overwhelmed right away. They all beat him down. Bryan Danielson was trash talking, said that Adam Page is an amateur and he thinks AEW needs to be fixed. They need to take care of the amateurs. He kept saying amateur over and over again. And then he grabbed a screwdriver and started just driving it into Adam Page's face. They didn't show any blood or anything, but yeah, he was essentially stabbing Adam Page with a screwdriver. I guess this will set up anarchy in the arena or whatever match they do for Double or Nothing. And of course, that also depends on Matt Jackson's condition and his recovery from injury. Then Bryan continued to talk about how they're the only professional wrestlers in AEW. And he said, based on what he's seen this week, they're the only professional wrestlers in America, which of course is a little reference to WWE and the whole Vince McMahon situation. But good segment here. I like Bryan's promo. I'm intrigued to see where this goes, and good stuff here all around. And then we had the main event, FTR versus the Gunns. FTR putting their careers on the line for the tag team title opportunity. The Gunns have new music. 50 Cent is now their new entrance music. I don't know if it was for one night, but they had different music. 50 Cent, I have to rank this show higher now because they got rid of that god-awful music that the Gunns had before. The Gunns were working together, and then they started getting a little bit desperate. FTR with the spike pile driver, Austin Gunn kicked out. They went for the Shatter Machine, but Colton broke it up. And then they were able to hit it after getting Colton out of the ring. However, Colton pulled out the referee. Now, Colton touched the referee, and normally that would be a disqualification. But the referee was letting this match continue. The Gunns kept trying to get disqualified. At one point, Austin hit a low blow, and Cash Wheeler came into the ring, begged the referee to not ring the bell. They hit the 310 to Yuma. The Gunns did on Wheeler. And then Colton gave Austin one of the tag team titles. Harwood went up top for a diving headbutt, but landed on the championship. 1-2 kick out. Dax Harwood kicked out despite landing on the title. And then Dax Harwood was able to avoid getting hit with the 310 to Yuma, the tag team finishing move from the Gunns. And then Wheeler and Dax both got in the ring, and they pinned both Gunns at the same time to win the AEW tag team titles. Is anybody really shocked that they're staying? I mean, this is what I predicted from the get-go. When the Gunns won the titles, I felt like it was done because FTR would be coming back and winning the titles. The Gunns were transitional champions. This is what I said back in January, February, whenever the Gunns won the titles. So FTR, did they make the right choice? I mean, they are the tag team champions now, and Vince is back. So I'm thinking right now they made the right choice. And I do agree with Gomer Kyle. Dynamite was definitely better than Raw. I thought it was a very good show. I'm almost wanting to give it an A-, but I think I'll go with a B+ for this. Really enjoyable Dynamite, and it's going to be tough to top. Raw did not live up to this show, and SmackDown, that remains to be seen. I think a lot of people are going to be curious as to how SmackDown plays out coming off of the reaction to Raw. Very negative one at that. We do have a few super chats here. Dave Scheffler sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Dave. Says, glad they took the belts off of the Gunns. Well, yeah, I mean, the Gunns basically lower card tag team holding the tag team titles. But as I felt from the get-go when they won the titles, like it made sense so FTR could come back and win the titles from a heel tag team. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, any ideas for the All-In main event? Well, if they want to draw a big crowd, like, it'll be interesting because tickets go on sale relatively soon, and I feel like they're not going to announce any matches. So this will be a real test to see how strong the AEW brand is by itself. But beyond that, like if they want to sell more tickets towards the date of the show, CM Punk, I think would definitely help. If you're going to work things out with him, this would be a good time to do it, I think. And, just build up as many stars as you can between now and then. As far as what match headlines, I'd love to see CM Punk versus MJF for that show. Stomach Bug said Wardlow versus Goldberg. Well, they got to, like I said, build up stars. They got to rebuild Wardlow. But if they could build him back up and Goldberg is willing to do it and Tony Khan is willing to shell out the money, that could be interesting. CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, I'd be down for that. That would probably be the biggest match AEW could do, maybe even bigger than CM Punk versus MJF, because Kenny Omega, one of the founding fathers of AEW, being there since the beginning, but MJF was too. Yeah, CM Punk being on the card one way or another, whether it's against MJF or Kenny Omega, would be absolutely huge. And maybe they have Sting do a match, get as many big names as you can and build up the current guys you have. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm very intrigued by it. Thank you all for tuning in again. Much appreciation to everybody out there for sending in your comments, and big shout out to everybody that came for all the live streams, or most of them. Very much appreciation goes out to you guys. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com. It's been a busy week, and we still have a lot to come over the next several days. A lot of news, SmackDown in Oregon, and then Raw in Seattle. No DQ Review will be back on Sunday. Stay tuned for all that. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.